Welcome to episode 127, Travel. Join us as we discuss the joys and challenges of leaving home for far-flung places. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Witchy Wit podcast, where we look at life through a witchy lens. I'm Kimberlyn.
I'm Leilani.
At Witchy Wit, we explore current events,
Ideas,
music and books,
and experiences in ways that recognize energy and life in everybody and everything.
We are both real witches.
And we bring two real perspectives through the lens of our different ages,
Races,
and backgrounds.
with a healthy skepticism for what we have been told is true. Our conversations are raw, candid, and vulnerable.
Join us as we cast a spell to uncover what we each know is true in our intuitive, witchy selves.
Welcome to episode 127, Travel. Yay.
Yay! I mean, what's not to love?
What's not to love?
Well, actually, yeah. Okay, never mind.
We'll talk about it. Okay, excellent. So
that's what we'll be talking about today, and we'll end with a poem. But before we do that, let's take some time and just check in as two people who love each other.
yay.
Would you like to go first?
Sure. I would like to talk. So this weekend, I attended one of our magical intensives that Reclaiming does. They have one, like at least two a month, or one, at least 3 every 2 months, something like that. Anyway, and this one they started after COVID. They started doing a hybrid version, so they have an online one in Minnesota, in outside of Minneapolis. So it's So there was a lot of feels around that, and then there was the online version, which is everyone, like in the class I was in, there was someone there from Germany and someone from Australia. So. And we start and end. The first ritual was Friday. The last ritual was yesterday. The last ritual was on a Tuesday. And they do a spiral dance. So when I first, have you seen an online spiral dance?
No, I haven't. And I could you maybe talk about what a spiral dance is in person?
Sure.
And then,
yes,
because some of our listeners might not know what a spiral
so
dance is.
Oh, thank you. A spiral dance is basically everyone in the circle is holding hands, and you start out actually in the circle, and then the person who is leading it, who knows the geometrical combinations, it's more like a labyrinth, I think, than anything else, starts. And the basic idea is that they start the line going, and then when they get to a certain point, they fold in. So the idea being is that then that first person can, not the second person, but definitely the third person, they can look into the eyes of the third person and the fourth person and so on. So as you make that turn, then you're able to look into the eyes of the other people. And the only people whose eyes you cannot look in, it's difficult to look into, would be the person on either side of you. But the rest of it, if it's done well, you look into the eyes of everyone. And then it circles in and it circles out, and the person who leads it knows what they're doing. You've led it in the past. It would be one of those. Do you remember Family Circus? It's a cartoon that's in the Sunday paper, and it shows when the little kid is supposed to come straight home from school, but it shows his footprints going all over town, and that's what it would look like if I led it. So we choose wisely. But I have never done an online, and I was thinking, how does that happen?
I don't know.
Well, what they do is, so someone leads the song, and then what they do, anyone whose camera is on, they spotlight them for 6 to 10 seconds.
Oh.
And then they go to the next person, et cetera, until they have a tech person doing this, and then they basically spotlight them or pin them, make them big. And so I've done, we did this at a camp that I taught in back in the fall, and then we did it on Friday, and then we did it yesterday. And I don't know, maybe it's because I was taking the class and I could be really, really relaxed, and I could fall into it. The class that I was taking was a 3-day class, was the witch's scream, and how, your scream can have power, and your scream doesn't have to be a verbal yell. It could be like art or whatever. Anyway, so I think because I was really open and vulnerable to that, when we did the spiral dance at the close, I felt so open and tender that I was basically sobbing the whole time. Sobbing the whole time. Everyone just looked so sweet and dear to me. And some of them I knew well because they were in my class, and some of them I didn't know that well, but I knew them from the various rituals over the past 5 days. And it was such a moving, a sweet, poignant, moving, loving moment that I don't know, I can't remember having had that with an online, thing. And so it was just so wonderful. And I was so jazzed by it. Like, I'm looking now at all these other online things. I'm like, I've got to do this. I've got to do that, because I don't know if you can ever recapture like that, the experience of the first time, but I want more of that. And I live by myself. Our group only meets once a month. And so, just the idea of kind of reinforcing the chops that we started to develop when we did our priestessing apprenticeship, is just really, it's really landing for me for some reason this year when it didn't previous years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my check-in. I'm feeling really, really sweet about that. I think it's something that I'm going to hold on to for a while. What's going on with you?
Can I just dovetail one thing that
Sure.
I am amazed every time when I hear about online stuff at how my own personal experience has transformed since what I believe our world went through during COVID, and the opportunities that it's offered me for online things that I would have never considered.
Right. Thank you. I think that's a really good point. That I can't speak for anyone else's experience, but I think one of the things that opened up for me is that in reclaiming, there's camps in Australia, Brazil, etc. But this is, in the past few years, this is the first time I've been in ritual with these people. Because it's good. It'll be a major trip for me to get to. Speaking of travel, a major trip for me to get to Australia, which I'm planning on doing. It's on my bucket list. But to be able to at any point say, okay, let's get together and talk about how we're going to do this ritual or this part of the ritual, and with someone who's in Germany. I mean, it's just I find that kind of amazing, and it's the miracle of the connected world, but also we've talked about witches and technology. We're not running naked in the woods. We're like sitting, checking with our devices, but there's still a very magical part of that that I wouldn't have guessed if you had told me this in 2019. I would say, yeah, right. And
I would offer our listeners, if you haven't listened to our episode on techno-paganism, because we talk about some of the really interesting things that happen when witchcraft meets technology.
It's like Hogwarts, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, we've blown a couple of Zoom rooms.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, what's going on with you?
So I wanted to share a little bit about how I love the dark time of the year so much. There's something I love about waking up in darkness and going to sleep in darkness, and the majority of the day being dark. I love it so much. And I feel a sense of sadness as we shift into spring. And as I notice when I wake up in the morning and it's bright, it's already, it starts to become light outside, I feel a sense of sadness of like,
your morning.
I am. I'm like, no, the dark time of the year. Man.
It was only here such a short time.
Right? I'm like, it doesn't feel like it was the dark time of the year. I mean, 50%, right? But it doesn't feel that way. No. And then at the same time, I also really enjoy the liminal times of the year. Spring and fall. I really enjoy times of change and transition. So I do appreciate that. But there is something, I do grieve leaving the dark time of the year. And I think that's one of the reasons why fall is really special, because I start noticing the days getting longer. And I find that so like exciting, and it's like rejuvenating, getting more darkness.
I love that. More darkness.
More darkness.
More cowbell. More darkness.
Right. More cowbell. More darkness. That's my SNL character. More darkness. Don't.
Actually, you will be doing this.
Right.
You'll be like, we're doing dance moves for more darkness. More darkness. More darkness. More darkness. So this is so wonderful for me to. I mean, you're not saying something that's super surprising. You're saying it in a very funny way. And I totally get this because I feel as if I know you as well as one can know someone with all the, variables. I wonder though, it's so funny because I think because of our witchy connection, this does not surprise me when you say this. I wouldn't have thought it originally, but when you said that, it totally makes sense. I wonder though, for people who don't know your witchy side, would they think that, or because it seems to me often that you present this very sunny disposition, and I wonder if this would be a surprise for people who don't know the witchy you.
In my experience, it is.
because if you said that, they'd probably be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because, and the reason I say that is because when I first met you, I would have like, I don't think I'd call you like fluffy pagan buddy or anything like that, but definitely, like sunshiny and face to the sun and,
Fluffy Pagan Bunny, by the way, is a reference to our spiritual bypassing episode. If you'd like to go, that was not too far ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also I would recommend Pagan Feminist Astrologer episode, because I bet Kimberly would have some really interesting thoughts about how, because I do think I am sunny, but then I am also really
right.
darky,
Shadowy,
shadowy.
Yeah.
So I wonder,
like, do you know your rising signs
No.
and all that kind of? Oh, okay.
she knows them for me. So now that we've checked in, I would love to move.
Yeah, we checked in. We have.
I would love for us to move into talking about travel.
Talking about travel, yes. I'm just going to lead with saying one of the reasons I retired when I retired was because I love travel so much. I think in all of my bios, like on Insta and all this kind of stuff, I have travel, or so I think something about travel in there because it's for how do I want to put this? It is a major part of me lights up when I'm thinking about travel, when I'm reading. I get all the travel newsletters, and then when I actually travel, I just lose my fucking mind. But I for a number of reasons that we'll get into maybe during this episode, I'm so glad we chose this title because it's something it's really important to me, and I love talking about it, and I love doing it. So, having said that.
Same. Traveling is really important to me too. I agree. I think that's one of the things you and I connect over.
Yeah, well, and actually we connected while traveling.
I didn't mean for this to be the thing I say over and over again in this episode, but if you want to know more about our traveling, we hiked the Camino de Santiago, which is currently a Christian pilgrimage but has pagan roots. And so we traveled to Spain and hiked all the way across Spain.
Yes.
So
for a month. We traveled together for a month. And then before that, we traveled for our priestessing apprenticeship.
Yes. Yeah.
So, which was a year, a little bit over a year every month. So, travel I think is an important part of, I think taking our relationship to the next step. Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
I would.
So, what are some of the things that when you think about like, okay, travel, Leilani, what does that picture look like?
For me, I have a very specific type of travel, and I am aware of that because I am not a good travel companion to everyone. And that's okay. That is okay. There are so many different types of people who like to travel, and I am a very specific type. So I like to travel where I am embedded in the local culture, and I like to travel but I have a safe space. So that would mean that I have a bed to sleep on and a place to shower. So I don't do well with roughing it. But
like camping or hostels?
Like backpacking through the woods. I do not do well with that because I don't have a bed or a shower.
Gotcha.
But I also don't want to stay in a resort. I don't want to stay in a place that is sealed off because then the way it feels to me is that I can be in a resort anywhere. Why would I fly across the world to go to a resort there whenever there's I could get a similar resort experience. The reason why I'm traveling is because I'm honoring a place that I am not normally.
I get it. And so the resort for you is a bubble that closes you off from the culture.
For me, it feels that way. Yeah. And I get that other people don't feel that way, but for me, it feels that way.
Well, it's our podcast.
This is my podcast, and this is what I want to say on my part of the podcast.
So we could say, yes, exactly. I mean, and if people don't want to hear it, they can just turn us off, right?
And you're a part of the podcast. What would you say?
Yeah. Oh, me. I thought you were talking to our audience. Woo. So it looks like a lot of different things. So I don't mind camping for like you. I do want to shower, and I want to shower where I don't have to stand on one foot because I'm afraid to put my foot down, as you know, with the bath mat.
Oh my gosh. Our friendship got much deeper in that moment and on the Camino.
That's right, because when we went to Portland, we didn't really
stay together.
I think the only time we stayed together was when our flight got delayed and we stayed in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm very particular about, so like you're particular about certain things, as you know, I'm particular about other things. And so that's one of the things, the magical intensive that we went to in California, that was always my big issue with the shower. It's like, I want my mat. I want to be able to stand on a clean place while I dry off. I don't think that's too much to ask. Anyway, but apparently it is. Anyway, but I don't mind camping, but I can't go too long because then I need that type of shower experience. I don't mind resorts as much. But often when I do go, I do excursions from it. So I leave the bubble. But one of the reasons I love resorts is because I can just lay on my fat, happy ass. You know, it's like a cruise, you know, where it's, particularly when they're all inclusive, where I can just say, I feel like a Mai Tai, or I feel like a milkshake or whatever, and someone will bring it to me. And I will tip them well, and they will be happy, and I will be happy. We've exchanged energy, and then I can roll over to the side and maybe have another milk. You know what I mean? So when I'm feeling particularly lazy, like I really need to just have someone else care for me, a cruise or one of those resorts would be the jam. And I've done resorts like I've done Cabo, and another one in Mexico. I can't remember where else, but and it was lovely. It was lovely, but it was lovely because then I did book excursions where I went out to like the market. You know, they had their excursions where you can go snorkeling here, but it was still very protected in an isolating way from the culture. So like the normal people who live there are not doing that type of thing. So I really wanted to go to the market, and they said, oh, well, there's this wonderful market. No, I said, I would like to go to their version of HEB. You know, I really want to go and see stuff like that. So I did that. And I also like when we did the Camino, we walked, but we had a company take our luggage from one spot to the other. And sometimes me, our luggage, and sometimes Kimberly, because I did the Kimberly Camino.
You did. I loved it.
Yes. So those creature comforts are important for me, depending on when I have my mind set a certain way. When I'm camping, that's not a thing. But yeah. So yeah. I think there's a wide range that I would enjoy. I also love going to places where I get, well, now it's Airbnb, but back then you would go on Craigslist. Remember Craigslist?
I do.
Yeah. And you get places, or before that, you would find, like, for example, I used to do this in Italy a lot. You would find there would be these publications where they would be Italian companies that would have the equivalent of like a month apartment or 2 months or whatever. And I love that too, because I'm literally living with the peeps. And that's so much fun until one of them wants to borrow your electricity. I can talk about that another time. But anyway, so there is that. And then one last, and then I'll give you a chance to speak. Then there's, some people would not call this a vacation, but traveling to visit family. And that's a big part of my, that's always been a big part of my life, because I live away from the main bulk of my family. So at least once a year, usually about twice, I do something with them. And ideally I drive, because one of the things I love about traveling is to be able to just get out of my normal life and do, and think, meditate, sing, whatever. I do that in my house too. But in my house, I also have to, clean up, clean the toilet, put away. I don't have to worry about that when I'm on the road. I can just drive, stop somewhere, get some food, drive, think, hum, meditate. So visiting family is not a vacation per se, but part of it is very much a vacation vibe for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some? I don't know if if this is in our outline, but yeah, what are some trips that you've taken that you've really enjoyed?
So my partner and I travel a lot for acrobatics. We call it traincations because we go and we train.
Yes.
And so we've stayed at we spent a month at a certain circus center, and so we lived in that city for a month and trained at that circus center. And we've traveled all over.
You've done a number of different
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone to a number of different circus centers and other places and intensives, and we're going to one this summer.
So cool.
In a new city, and so that's really cool. So, traincations is one way that I like to travel. Another way that I like to travel is spiritual tourism, spiritual traveling, and that's what we did with our Camino. And I've done things where I've gone into different Asian countries, and
yes, I remember.
Yeah. And so one time, my sister and we were in a certain area, and I like to research the spirituality of the place that I am, and do a lot of reading on that. And through that reading, I found a hot springs that was believed to be a goddess embodied in that hot springs for healing work. And so the locals would go to this hot spring and bathe in the hot spring. And so my sister and I went, which was a spectacle because we're American or United from the United States. And I had read about how our bathing suits needed to be conservative, and my brand of a conservative one piece is not the level of, I learned a big lesson on that.
Well, you generally wear bikinis because
I do, but I was wearing a one piece because I had read they said a one piece, but an American one piece and one of their one piece is very different. So we ended up wearing shirts over our bathing suits, but just seeing,
I see, gotcha.
But seeing that culture, also seeing these old men in this over 100-degree water, I couldn't even get in it, and these men are like up to their necks. Because they're so used. It's just amazing. But that I love travel. Like I love stories and experiencing travel like that.
When you were saying about you did some research, I remember you did research for us from the Camino. We did the where the spell, the Galician spell for was it protection or something? I can't remember, but yeah, and where he sets the thing on fire. Oh my God, that was amazing. And he claimed that he was a third, like he learned how to do it from his grandfather, which I thought was so sweet. Really cool.
It was really cool. It was really cool.
It was
really neat. And seeing the way when he would pour, he was scooping it and pouring it as it was on fire, so flame was
like a
waterfall of flame.
Yes,
just this really elemental cool shit, man.
So regardless of how he was thinking about it, we made it our experience.
Sure.
Yeah. So things like that might be a little bit off the beaten path, but it sounds like those are the more important things to you than the path itself, right?
Yeah. And of course, like when I went to New York, I saw the Statue of Liberty, but I also did other things, because I think seeing the Statue of Liberty is cool. I just think there's a lot more to places than...
Oh my gosh, to New York City? Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
To whatever that place's Statue of Liberty is, there's always... To me, there's more to see than the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly. So, it sounds... I'm trying to... I am very much interested in history. And, history, anything from like 50 years ago to, 2,000 years ago. And so, but also, how spirituality fits into that. And so I remember, obviously, we can go on and on and on about the Camino. I will try to find another example. But I did a lot of research in Rome when I was working on my dissertation. And so just finding there's the places that that have the ancient Roman connection, but they're actually places that are older than the Roman culture. And that to me was, I mean, I loved going to see the Forum and all that kind of stuff, and that was super cool. But I loved finding the places that were there before the Romans put their stamp on that place, and that like ancient history or prehistory or whatever, is a really special part of traveling for me. That we don't get it as much in the United States as we get elsewhere.
No, but whenever I was in Rome, I could see where they had chiseled off the gods and goddesses and then had replaced them with Christian.
Saints, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember feeling this sense of seeing. I was like, I see you. I see the chisel marks. Like, I see that you were there. And yeah. And I felt that way on the Camino too.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, so when we've been talking a lot about cities and things like that. Are there times when you get away from that, or is that a part of your travel plans or thoughts at all?
Like traveling rural versus...
Yeah, I mean, there's the big cities, and so, and I'll give you an example. With the Camino, basically the answer to any question you can ask us is the Camino. But one of the things that I delighted in was would be the times when you left me in the dust, because we do the first hour and a half and then I'd say, oh, go ahead. And you think, thank God. Okay, see you later. See you at lunch or dinner or whatever. And I would be walking. I remember there was maybe 6 days from the end where we were walking through those eucalyptus forests, and there was no one. There was no one. In the States, I might be a little nervy about that. But there I was not. It was just, I remember one part, I did kind of look, make sure people weren't, I literally just flung my arms open and just breathed in the scent and the air. And there was another place, I can't remember, where you come out and there's, you see the lake, and then the dam that we have to cross, or the bridge we have to cross is way down at the far end, much further away than it looks.
It looks so close, but it is not.
It is not, because you have to zigzag. Anyway,
yeah.
But I remember standing there and just letting the air take me, feeling like it might blow me into the lake, and just saying, what would that feel like? Okay, calm down. Calm down. Because I did have really good travel insurance, but I didn't really want to test it that much. But, just like feeling the elemental nature of it, and just standing there and just letting myself be buffeted by the wind. And then, and that was the day we came out of the mists, remember? Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
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 So I love, again, though, I love getting into nature, but I want to feel safe. And there's places, it's not kind of sad. There's places in the States where I don't feel safe walking by myself. There was a couple of times where I was walking and this huge band of men were coming the opposite direction. It was like one Camino, I never felt that. And I might feel nervous if that were the case in the States.
I did find it interesting that people would say, is it safe for you to be over there walking by yourself? And the interesting thing for me is, like, look at crime statistics. It is safer for me to walk by myself over there than to walk by myself here.
You have to walk with a dog and a gun,
right?
Here,
we live in Texas, right? Yeah.
So yeah. So, yeah.
So I hear you saying nature and cities, just depending, but you like both.
Both. I knew I loved both, but like I said, the experience is a little bit more fraught here because I travel alone so much, and I don't get to experience it. Now I want more of it because it was so fantastic in Spain that I want more of it here. I just have to figure out how to do it so that I feel safe and I can really allow myself to enjoy it.
I think I'm similar too. I find the sacred. So for me, traveling is really mostly about either training or connecting with the sacred, which I would argue training is connecting. I connect to the sacred through my body. So when I travel for dance or when I travel for partner acrobatics, it is sacred for me. But when I travel for spirituality, being in nature is so wonderful. And those spiritual intensives that you and I have done that are quite long, that's in nature. And there's something about being, without electricity for that long and walking over a babbling stream to get to my cabin,
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
magical.
it's magical, right? It's beautiful. I have a picture of the bridge that leads over to the ritual space in my hallway because I just love looking at it. It's so beautiful. But then I also really enjoy being in cities. I find personally cities, it might be the contrary nature that I have, but I love to find the sacred in cement and in subways.
There's a book title in there somewhere.
Right? The sacred in cement and subways. You know, I love to find that.
Sounds wonderful. So you know, we've been talking about the benefits of travel and the ways in which it enriches the ways in which I find it enriches my life and enriches my experiences, and just I think causes me to stretch and grow. So, you know, travel, good, you know, thumbs up. Then there's let's talk a little bit about maybe the ethics of travel, the maybe not thumbs up part of travel.
Yeah. To summarize, I think that traveling is inherently privileged because I have to have money, time, and physical ability to do it.
Oh, yes.
So, and it also has an environmental impact no matter how we do it. It has an environmental impact. Even walking across Spain has an environmental impact because we had to fly there. And all of that, I have to say, I personally think that it's important for me to recognize that. And me traveling a few times a year is nothing compared to Jeff Bezos's airplane, private jet. So
or his rocket.
Right, or his rocket. Like, you know, so I want to be mindful, and also I don't think the folks like us who are traveling are the problem. But it isn't. I do want to be aware of my impact.
We are not the problem,
right.
But we are a part of it. Yeah. And privileged in as much as, like you say, to be able to travel, you have to have some things that are not evenly distributed across our society. So, you know, I think of some friends of mine who, when they get a vacation, they basically clean their house. They clean their house. If they have time, they visit with their family. They'll have a party or something like that. But they don't have the money, the money, and even the outlook. It's not a part of their worldview because it's been so. It's rarely been on offer for them, and so I am privileged because I can get my newsletters that say, you know, 7 places for the 7 best places for solo travelers, or you know the things that flight attendants want people to know, and you know, and I can, and that's a very privileged place. That's a place that I didn't recognize until I saw it in our outline. That, you know, I really take for granted, and I don't consider myself like well off by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to some people, I'm incredibly well off. The fact that I can say I'm going to be going, you know, I'm going to Istanbul in Greece, and Athens in the fall, in the winter. How many people can say that? You know, well, at least 250 because they're going to be on my ship. But yeah, so I recognize that I am so blessed to be able to, for us to be able to have this conversation, right? And speaking of the physical aspect of it, one of the reasons I retired when I retired was that I wanted to be able to travel before I needed to, you know, factor in caregivers or walkers or things like that. And so again, I'm very fortunate in that, you know, health issues aside, that I'm able to walk. I don't know if I can do that today, but you know, but yeah, to be able to do the things, to do the travel things, right?
Yeah. I also really like to think about colonialism and gentrification.
Oh, girl.
I like to think about. I find it important to think about colonialization and gentrification, and specifically with displacement and exploitation of the land and of the people and the culture when I travel. And I don't, you know, I haven't figured out a way to. I don't know that there is a perfect way to do it. I don't know, but one time I had someone that I met at a spiritual intensive lived on an island that was near an island that is very popular for people to travel to, that I would say has a lot of colonialization, gentrification, and exploitation of the folks who live there. And so I was able to stay at their place on this island that does not offer any sort of touristic infrastructure. And it was really powerful for me to be there. And I found myself questioning, by me being there, am I contributing, because there was a lot of signs that said like no cruise ships here and stuff like that, and there was like a grocery store that was probably the size of this bedroom. Like it was very small. It was very, very, there was nothing for tourism, which I liked, but I was there as a tourist, kind of.
Staying in someone's house, buying food at the local grocer.
Yes.
Which is what a person who lived there would be doing.
Yes, and I was watching their house. They were not there. So I was doing that. And there was this feeling of me being very aware that yes, I was giving my money to the local economies. I was making sure that I did. I was buying food from the local grocer. I was taking care of the house. I was eating food from the land that I was harvesting per the agreement of the person who lived there. And also I took a propeller plane, by the way, like one of those little planes.
Oh, a puddle jumper.
Yeah, like where they calculated how much we weighed to know where they sat us, because it was one of those really small planes.
I'm trying to think where they put me. Like, girl, you got to sit in the middle.
Fun fact, they put me up in the front seat next to the pilot.
Oh, that was a real puddle jumper.
Yeah.
Oh,
there was like 4 seats, and then the dude who flew, and then I sat next to him. I had the urge. I had that intense urge to reach out and just press all the buttons, but I didn't, because then we probably would have crashed. But
and we wouldn't have had this podcast episode.
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Now that's an experience. How many people have that experience? That's an experience.
Yeah.
And I may I suggest something, listening to what you just said? I so laud and praise your sensitivity to these issues. And until we can step out somehow of the capitalist control of the globe, of our planet, we will be participating in some sort of way of some sort of exploitation, because that's what capitalism is about. It's about getting them, for some people, getting the most they can out of everybody else so that they can live well, right? That's how capitalism works. And it's and even in the places that might be still resisting it, it's creeping in.
Yeah.
It's creeping in. So I'm happy to hear that you're very sensitive to that. And the more we become sensitive to it, the more maybe we can break the wheel. Right. But I'm going to encourage you to not feel guilty about being a part of it, because unless we die or we live like Grizzly Adams and eat pine bark, we have to be a part of it. Right.
I read this really great book on the indigenous religions of this area and learned all about it.
Oh, I'd love to hear about that.
It was so cool. And then I did some research, and I found some former sacred locations on that island. And I ended up having to contact like people who live there, because it's on their private property. But they're open to it. It was just like, hey, just let us know you're going to be hiking through our property and you can go to these sites. And so
that's so cool.
I hiked on through their private property, which looked like a jungle, because it is. And there's this ruins of it was, I wept. Also, they did human sacrifices there. So like, I was like, that was like kind of like cool to be like, whoa, be like, whoa. But that's there. And I wouldn't have known about it had I not read, there's no signs, there's no tourism, there's no signs, but because I had read this super thick book on this particular area's mythology, I learned so much. And then
so cool.
It was so neat to go there and then to be like, I'm here and I'm witnessing you. You're not forgotten. So.
And I think there's an element of that, particularly when we have a spiritual cast to our travel, where we can honor the spirits of those places, coming from a colonial society, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, being a part of the capitalist machine, but we can still do the thing that recognizes and understands, this magic that's in anything, isn't that in our that's in everything, that's in our tagline. So yeah.
Do you want to add? I feel like you shared a lot as you
Yes, I
reflected.
have.
No, I'm sorry. Look, I feel like you shared a lot. I feel like you shared a lot in regards to reflecting back my sharing about colonialism and all that stuff. But is there anything else you would like to add or you've noticed in your travels?
Yeah, so yes, thank you. One of the things I'm not sure if this is necessarily answering your question, but one of the things that I try to do as much as possible is kind of figure out how the people that are living there are living, and then live that way. And I know sometimes you do it because it's like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's a status thing that you can blend in or whatever, but I feel as if the best way that I can honor the society or honor the place that I'm in is to treat it the way the people who are there would treat that. And to me, that's very, it's magical. It's also really, for some reason, it's very sexy. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm in with the in crowd or something like that. But I think a part of how, so one of the things that I do is I try to look into the culture as much as possible. And I think that's a big part of it for me. I feel often very liminal. You were talking about this liminality earlier about the seasons, but I feel kind of liminal in that, yes, I'm a part of this colonial society, but I didn't choose to be a part of this colonial society. They yanked my people over here in chains, and so it's an uneasy fit. W.E.B. Du Bois talks about the two-ness of Black people. That you're a part of America. You're a citizen of the country, but then you're also something different. You're different. You're othered by the culture, but you're also othered by the fact that you have these ties to places that the people in the dominant culture of that place don't have, right? And so I feel that sometimes when I'm traveling in Europe, because so many of the people in this country reflect that kind of colonial attitude, but many of them were refugees or immigrants, right? And both. They were both and, right? They were they were colonists, and they were fleeing either persecution or economic hardship, etc. So I feel that when I go to these other countries and reflect how their culture impacted us in the United States. And then one thing I haven't explored yet, and this is on my bucket list of things to do, there's several places I want to go in Africa. So I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to West Africa, where according to Ancestry.com, I have some roots. I want to go to Kenya. So there's various places, and then that's a whole nother can of worms, right? So, and I don't know what that's going to feel like, and I don't know how to posit what that's going to be like for me. I'm hoping to go in with an open heart and an open mind, but we'll see.
Wow. Yeah.
Did I answer the question that you asked?
I think so, but okay. I think you also answered it more richly than I could have expected.
Because I talk so much.
which is not uncommon for me to experience with you, as the richness of your responses. So, I do want to say this does sound like this is kind of catty, but you and I had this experience while we were on the Camino with this person.
Oh.
Who was very
colonial. Let's call it shovel, shall we?
Sure. This person was very willing to share how much experience they have on the Camino and how they felt. They really wanted us to know how much of an expert they were on the Camino, and yet they refused to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So much so that when they were ordering in this very small town at like the town's only restaurant, they refused to speak Spanish. So much so that you ended up having to translate for them.
For this person that's so experienced and telling us how to
Yes.
how to do our community.
Yes. And I was very angry at them. And also I was disappointed at their profession of their spirituality.
Right. Yes.
And yet what I would view as not spiritually aligned behavior.
Well, but I view that kind of stuff as they basically came and they raped Spain. They came to Spain because they wanted to have the experience that they wanted to have. There was no foreplay, there was no give or take, there was no consent. They didn't ask, they paid their money, right? But they went in with their blinkered kind of, this is the experience I want to have. It doesn't matter, like there's a bunch of Spaniards there. It doesn't matter, there's a bunch of people there that live there. This is my experience, period, end. And that's the way I view it. They're basically coming in and raping the country.
Yeah. They came in and consumed with there was, I love the way you say that though, that there really wasn't, it didn't feel consensual. I can't.
You can't say buenos dias.
Right.
It's like, stop it.
Right.
Just stop it. You just like.
Yeah. And if
gracias.
You don't know how to speak Spanish, you could point on the menu and order, but she demanded that they speak English to her. Yeah.
I had some feelings around that too.
Yeah, me too. It was a really powerful moment for me sitting there and seeing that, especially after walking a little bit with them that day on the Camino and listening to her profess her faith and her expertise at navigating the Camino.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we, and that is their experience, and that's their, that they have what they want to have. And I'm sounding very judgy, and I'm going to say, yeah, I'm judging.
I'm judgy of that. That's not okay by me.
I'm judging because, yes, they're contributing to the economy. I don't mean to say that they're not doing that. And they're doing the thing that the people there are supporting or are there for, So I get that. And you are in someone else's country. The least you can do is say thank you or order from the menu in their language. It's not, I mean, if you were just there for a couple of days, I'd get it, because you've got to, get to wherever you're going to go. But they've done that a number of times, and they're not stupid. So it's not like they don't know. They didn't hear any Spanish that they eventually figured out meant thank you or hello or whatever. It's just that they choose not. They demand the ability to not use it. They demand. Yeah, they demand that other people come to them.
Oof.
So
well said. Wow. Well, you kind of mentioned some future travels that you have. Would you like to share a little bit more about?
Sure. So on the docket for this year, I'm going back to visit family, probably June-ish. I have a favorite cousin who is going to be turning 86 this year. Wow. So I try to be there around her birthday and take her out for her birthday. So that's going to be, and then actually we have a trip. We're going to Fort Davis.
Yeah.
Yes, we're doing
in West Texas.
West Texas. I will be traveling for one of my music intensives to North Carolina, and that hopefully I will drive for that as well. And then in the I don't know if I'm going to try to do. I was going to do foliage last year, but I got super sick, and couldn't do that. But I might. I've yet to catch the East Coast foliage. I haven't done that in almost 30 years.
Wow.
So maybe that in the fall, but definitely in December, my goddaughter and I are going to be taking a cruise from Istanbul to Athens. And so looking forward to that. So that's kind of there, and I mentioned some things that I want to do eventually, but that's kind of the definite things. What about with you?
I think I should have gone first.
I can change this in the end. No.
But one of the things I guess I didn't think about it this way, but one of my big travel plans is with you, and it is going to West Texas this summer, which is spiritual tourism for us. Like we are traveling spiritually with a number of
witchy women,
women and their beloveds, and then we're going to go out there and be with the land, and I would say do witchcraftery awesomeness.
Oh, many of those women have been on our podcast.
Yes.
So,
Many of them have been on our podcast or are good friends of ours. So I'm really excited about that because I've been out to that area twice and hiked Guadalupe Peak, which is the highest peak in Texas. And now I'm realizing I've said this, but like I researched native faith traditions of that area.
Oh, sweet.
And very much had experiences aligned with that, which was very strenuous and just the kind where they just like pound the sacred into you. It was very a brash spiritual. It was great, but it was very intense. So I'm excited to go back out there. And then I mentioned earlier that I'm going to I'm traveling to a city I've never been to. I'm traveling to Seattle, and I'll be there for a few weeks for this acrobatic intensive. And we rented the back half of somebody's house.
Oh, great.
That they have turned into another house. So the neighborhood is walkable. So I'll be shopping at the local grocery stores. It's one stop, or it's a 10-minute walk from the light rail, and we'll be taking the light rail to the place where we're training. So
I love your planning ability.
Thank you so much.
You're so amazing with that.
There's coffee shops between our house and the light rail stop, so we'll be able to get coffee in the mornings, and I'll be able to fix dinner at the house at night. So I'm thrilled that I'm going to get to be there for so long.
Good. Excellent.
I'll be exhausted, but
will you be able to add a couple of days before and after so that you can just kind of enjoy the city?
I'm hoping so.
Is your thing Monday through Friday, or is it like 7 days a week?
It's 7 days a week for a couple of weeks, but we have 1 day a week off.
Okay.
But
so
my experience of whenever I was at the other places, I used that day to sleep. But I'm hoping that we can go a few days early.
That I find when I go to conferences, because they have these conferences in these wonderful places, and you never see them because you're in the frickin' hotel going from session to session. So I have learned now, I've learned two things. One is like I don't have to go to all the sessions, so I just go to the ones that I really, really want to go, or like people like I would really be embarrassed to bump into them and not be at their paper. But then I have now learned to add a day or two on either end, just so that I can kind of decompress and then just enjoy the place. Like just I'm not one of those, let's cram as many things in as possible. I would really like to be able to just sit in one place for a few hours and people watch, read a book, journal, or whatever. So that allows me to do that.
I really love that we travel well together.
I think so.
It's really, I don't travel well with everyone. I have a very particular flavor of travel. And I really appreciated that even when things went askew when we were traveling together, I still really enjoyed.
Like when we didn't have luggage?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Or when my luggage fell apart.
Oh, that's right, yes! And you kind of like started laughing hysterically. I think you kind of lost it for
I did lose it a little bit.
But you put on your big girl panties and you went out to a hardware store.
I did.
In Spanish.
Yes.
And got duct tape.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I haven't read a whole lot of phrase books in other languages, but the phrase books I've seen never had, where do you carry duct tape?
Yes. Also, and we were so far into the Camino that they weren't even speaking Spanish anymore. It was Galician. So I didn't even know how to say duct tape, but I had a picture of duct tape and I walked into the hardware stores, and they weren't even really hardware stores, but they walked in these holes in the walls that had certain things, and I pointed at this picture of duct tape.
See, it can be done, right? Yeah. You can, well, let's not go back to that, but yes, yeah. So, so would you like to talk about your favorite travel story? Just really briefly.
Sure. A super brief story for me is I was staying on that island and I was volunteering at a permaculture farm that was reclaiming the land from a capitalist company that had come in and just really
monofarmed.
Absolutely. Just horrendous things that they did to the people and the land. So I was volunteering for the day on that farm, and I was ripping out some of the plastics they had put into the ground. And the local person who was running the permaculture farm came up to me and told me to rip out a specific type of weed. And they pointed to the weed and said, make sure you rip out that type of weed. And they called the weed a certain name. And I said, well, why? Like, just can you tell me more? I'm like interested in learning. And they said, well, that weed is super invasive and kills everything around it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then later that night, whenever we were making dinner, I asked somebody, does the name of that weed, doesn't it also mean something else? And they said, yeah, it's what the locals in this area call white people. And yeah,
there's a metaphor.
Yeah, so it's super invasive and it kills everything around it. And in that moment, I was so grateful that I had spent the day on my hands and knees ripping out plastic out of the ground as a way of, I don't even know if the word apologizing is even strong enough, but just offering.
There's some redemption.
Yeah, just being like, I am so sorry that people like me, you did not deserve to be treated that way. And if I can remove one piece of plastic out of the ground, if I can pull out one piece of those weeds that weren't supposed to be there in the first place. So
that's a great story. I love that.
It was really powerful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Would you like to share a story?
Sure. This is back in the 80s. I want to say this first. Okay, so back in the 80s, and I was traveling with a friend. We rented a car, an Opel Kadett. Don't ever rent one of those cars. And we did 4 countries in 3 weeks. We flew into Munich. We were there a few days. Then we went to Austria. We were there about 5 or 6, a little bit of time. Then was in Salzburg and Vienna. And then we went to Venice, and we were in Venice for a while, and then like Padua and some of those little towns there. And then we came back through Switzerland and stayed in Switzerland, and then ended back up in Germany. Right. So really quickly. So first of all, what was fascinating about it is this was before the Euro. So
wow.
Yeah. These were towns that didn't have, they were like separate checks. What are you,
right,
none of that. So at the end of each day, we would be sitting there. Okay, now you paid for that in Deutschmarks, and then we played, but I paid for these in lira, and so that was pretty hysterical.
Wow.
But I met a young man. He was a teenager when I first met him here in the States, and he was a cousin of a friend, and we really hit it off. And one time he came and visited and stayed with us. He was actually going out to some reservation out in North Dakota eventually, but he stayed with me for about a week. But when we went out, he said, yes, you must stay at my house with me, with my mom and me, the whole bit. And so I stayed with them, and we got there. It was really, really late because I think we were coming in from Switzerland, and there had been traffic or whatever. But when we got there, it was like, oh, you're here, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yay. Okay, got to go visit my friend. So he left. And it was just his mom and her boyfriend. And they opened a bottle of wine, and we had a bottle of wine. Maybe the first bottle was when Sasha was still there, and then he left. And then they opened a second bottle of wine, and we drank that. And then they opened a third bottle, and my friend Karen and I, we were sitting there like...
Holy crap.
We were sitting, so like midway through the third bottle, we were just sitting there just kind of like staring at each other and kind of like waving from side to side because it had been a long day.
Yeah.
We'd eaten, but we were drinking a lot of wine. And then while we're sitting there, we heard from the kitchen, pop.
Oh.
They were opening another bottle, and we were looking at each other like, are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trip.
I love that.
I love that. So yeah, so travel is fraught and fun. There are ethical issues with it, and then for me, it is so soul nourishing that it's something that I think is going to be an integral part of my life for the rest, however much longer I'm living.
It's definitely a really powerful part of my spiritual practice. And I know that's not a fit for everyone, but for me, it is just at the center of my spiritual practice.
Yeah, twinkles, yeah. So tell us a little bit about this poem.
So this poem is by Barbara Kingsolver, and it's called How to Be Helpful.
I love her. Yeah.
I'm not familiar. This is my
really.
first...
Oh my god! Well, she writes novels, and you're not a novel.
I'm not a novel person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you are a very novel.
I'm not a.
You don't read them.
No.
Yeah. You live them, but you don't read them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Look. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say the title?
I did.
Okay. Look, you might as well know this device is going to take endless repair. Rubber cement, Rubber bands, tapioca, the square of the hypotenuse, 19th century novels, sunrise, any of these could be useful. Also feathers.
The ignition is tricky. Sometimes you have to stand on an incline where things look possible, or a line you drew yourself, or the grocery line, making faces at a toddler secretly over his mother's shoulder. You may have to pop the clutch and run past the evidence, past everyone who is praying for you. Passing all previous records is okay, or passing strains, just not passing it up.
Or park it and fly by the seat of your pants. With nothing in the bank, you will still want to take the express. Tiptoe past the dogs of the apocalypse, asleep in the shadow of your future. Pay at the window. You'll be surprised. You can pass off hope like a bad check. You still have time. That's the thing.
To make it good.
Beautiful poem. Thank you for choosing that.
Thank you.
And that it kind of sums up that feeling of wonder and exploration.
Yeah. I still have time
Yay.
to make it good.
Yay.
We hope you have enjoyed the magic that has unfolded here at Witchy Wit.
It would be great if you would help make Witchy Wit possible and get access to exclusive content by donating on Patreon.
We'd love it if you join our Witchy community and enjoy shareable content on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would you do us a big favor and support us by rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts? It's free and helps witchy folks find us.
Feel free to email us at witchywitpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our community. Reach out and let us know what's brewing in your cauldron.
New episodes are released every second and fourth Friday. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so our episodes go right to your playlist. You can listen as you ride your broom.
Stay witchy, y'all!